Oh my god.
Can we just turn?
Yeah, we turned on recording.
And we should stop the and then we need to. Where's the PowerPoint? Here.
You want to share the screen?
What about you?
Yeah, this will need to be shared.
I'm gonna share. The first, you want to share your screen?
I was just actually working with
Yeah, this needs to
This one, right?
Yeah.
No, this one.
No.
course from
There you go.
So yeah,
This should be.
she's learning. I'm learning a lot from her.
And you're
Okay, so
I use Northwest.
Nice.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
questions.
Right,
You have a
we're
speaker?
right outside of Chicago.
You have to.
Okay.
Where does that come?
Drive through that a lot in the Chicago. Never actually stopped.
Where will that come?
Okay, no, you don't want to stop there.
That's what people say. What is it like to actually live there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I live 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, really, our campus is beautiful. It's very safe.
You have to.
It's just unfortunate. It's the city itself is just very. So it's very sad. It's very sad to drive through. We have hospital system in Gary, and the hospital's great. I'm great. It was great. So yeah, don't just keep going. But anyway, I like the campus. I like the work. I like the people.
I really like that area here by the lake.
Oh, I know. Yeah, the Indian
Michiana,
Jones.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Actually. Whenever my wife and I met online, we're dating all this. She was in Chicago, I lived in Lansing.
Oh, okay.
So we would be for you.
Yeah,
Halfway, and we spent
halfway.
a ton of time out
That's
there.
a great halfway point.
Especially in
Yeah.
the summer, she would see juice and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes a little bit further.
Yeah. My husband and I just spent our anniversary weekend St. Joseph. It was really nice.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. With like the brewery and winery tour, and yeah, we had fun with that.
Have you been to Bush Brewery?
No.
Oh, that's amazing.
Where's that?
Sawyer.
In Sawyer.
Yeah.
Okay. Greenbush? it's
Greenbush,
called? I'm gonna
it's-
write that down.
It's exploding now. They had this they were always back, so across the street they opened this like summer outside patio area with lunchable and
Oh, cool.
like sausages and they grill, and then they bought the restaurant next to them because they were
Yeah.
just like thinking about their business. So I
Yeah.
like doing so much. A lot of people from Chicago
Yeah.
go out there. And then there's Journeyman.
Journeyman Distillery, we stopped there for lunch. Yeah, we enjoyed that.
That's a good.
Yeah, and they're actually opening a smaller distillery in Valparaiso. Florida is like 40 minutes from us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice.
That's nice.
Yeah.
How do you think about living in Chicago?
Well, there's been a lot opening up by us too, in the whole. I guess you can ride your bike from Chicago all the way through to almost like Pharaoh's and hit just there's a whole brewery trail there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I don't know if we have any more people coming.
So, well, two, second set of two.
Okay.
If I pass them.
All right, we ready? Let's see. Bloop. There we go. Whoops. Okay. All right, welcome everyone to the EdD Orientation for new students. Welcome to the IST 2019 conference. My name is Dr. Tom Brush. I'm right now the interim chair of IST until Dr. Glazewski gets back on her feet. And I'm also the coordinator of the EdD program. And so many of you have probably interacted with me already. So today, this session this morning is basically going to be kind of an overview of the program, some important things for you to consider as new EdD students. And then it'll also be a good opportunity for question and answers. I can usually answer most questions that students have. And if I can't, then I know people that can. So why don't we start by going around and introducing yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you do, anything you want to share.
My name is Linda Galosi. I'm from Indiana University Northwest, so
Uh-huh.
traveled down here from Gary. And I'm the program chair for our Health Information Management program.
Mhm.
And I teach online and face-to-face courses.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, welcome, welcome.
Yep.
Oh, come again. Is it locked? It's locked. There, it's locked. Yes. Why is it locked? Well, welcome, Linda. And we're just doing introductions. Miss anything?
My name is Luca Duponi. I work at Michigan State University, so I live in Madison, Michigan. I'm a instructional designer at the office. And
Well-
I'm first year EdD.
Welcome, welcome.
My name is Mary Bakley. I am in my second semester. I was a full-time instructor at IUPUI until the end of last year, and now I work for PepsiCo.
Ah, wonderful. Welcome, welcome.
I'm Mado. I'm a senior lecturer at IUPUI, where I teach courses in web and mobile application development. So this is technically my second semester in the program, but I was working for the IST certificate before I became a full-time an actual student again. So I've been around for 2.5 years, plugging away, course with you at a time.
That's perfectly fine. That's all I'll talk about.
I'm Sarah Williams. I am from Arkansas,
Oh.
and I work for a e-learning company based out of Minneapolis.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
I do project management, instructional systems design, and a little bit of web development.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome. Welcome all the way. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm here actually for the tech support. I'm volunteering for tech support as a part of the conference today. So I'm just like a side person today. My name is Kartik Korde. I'm from India, and I'm in the master's program in the IST department. So that's your department. I would say our department.
Let me think. Yes, you are
Our
correct.
department.
You are correct.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, there might be a few online people who will be joining.
Okay.
I think it's just you and me right now.
Right now?
So if they do ask questions, I might have to read them out to you.
That's perfect. That's the way we've done it in the past. You
All right,
just
okay,
say,
perfect.
oh, someone online has a question.
Right, yeah.
So that's
So,
fine.
yeah, they'll probably put it in the chat room and I can just read that out.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Okay. So as you can tell from my style, I'm a very formal presenter. So I don't want to hear any talking or anything like that while I'm presenting. No, just kidding. So I'm just going to go through some of the requirements. Some of this you may already know. Some of this may be new to you. And feel free, if you have any questions while I'm talking, feel free to ask. Anything that you that I'm not making clear, just let me know. And also, for anybody who's interested, immediately following this session from 10 to 11, I'm going to do part 2 of that that talks about once you're completed coursework, those kinds of things. What are the kind of milestones that you meet after completing coursework in basically the first part of the program. So you're welcome to stay for that or whatever. And I do it every year. So, okay. Oops. Yeah. There we go. And so we already did welcome and introductions. I'll talk about an overview of the EdD requirements and the all-important program or plan of study. Some people call it program of study. Some people call it plan of study. We'll talk about the IST requirements, electives, the inquiry and foundation requirements, the doctoral minor requirements, residency, and then credit transfer and revalidation process. and then I'll finish up with important tips, and then open it up for any other questions that people have. Okay. So overview of EDD requirements. Basically, the first thing that I want to emphasize is the EDD plan or program of study. Okay. One of the nice things about it is this is the paper version, kind of a screenshot of the paper version of the plan of study. The nice thing about this is for everybody involved, and I can tell you this from experience, is that they have moved this now to online. So everybody's plan, program of study, you all complete it online now. And boop, down here, oh, you don't see, there it is, okay. This is the link for the online plan of study. So basically it's just education.indiana.edu/EPOS. You'll click on that, it'll ask you to log in using your IU username and password, and then it automatically knows what program you're in. So it'll actually populate your plan of study automatically with the core requirements of the program, and then you can add in the additional elective courses and things like that yourself. Oh my gosh, it's so nice. Because you do that, then once you've determined your advisory committee, which I'll talk about in a minute, then basically you just put in the names of your advisory committee members, click it, and then it's automatically electronically routed to the committee for their electronic signature. It used to be, because I love history. Used to be that a student would say, "Where's the plan of study?" And I say, "Here's the link to the plan of study. Print it out. It's a PDF. Print it out, fill it out, PDF it back to me, and I'll go hunt down all the faculty members and have them sign it." So speaking as the EDD coordinator, it's like, whew, this makes it easy. Now all I have to do is students will email me and say, "Hey, Dr. X, it looks like they haven't electronically signed the plan of study yet." So then all I have to do is send them an email and say, "Hey, Dr. X, you haven't signed the plan of study yet. Go into your action list," as we call it, and look it over and sign the plan of study. So that's much easier than me walking around or sometimes I asked Vicky to do it. Vicky, our admin, is wonderful. I'll say, "Vicky, can you go find this person?" Anyway, but that's why it's so much nicer now. So anyway, in terms of an overview, many of you already know this, okay? The EDD is a 60-credit postmaster's degree, or postgraduate degree, I guess. Meaning that you have to have an advanced degree in order to be admitted into the program. So either a master's or beyond you have to have. And then the master's degree that you have acquired as part of the admission requirements, none of those credits can be used for the EDD. So that's why it's a 60 credit. Our PhD program is what's called a post-baccalaureate program. So technically you only need to have a bachelor's degree to be admitted into the PhD, but the PhD is 90 credits. So it's a 90 credit versus 60 credit. That's why we chop off 30 credits, because we require people to have an advanced degree already. Okay? If you do have an additional degree beyond the master's or additional courses that you take in beyond the master's, up to 18 credits can be transferred into the program. That's something that doesn't typically happen because the credits have to kind of match with the requirements for the course. So it may be that, for example, we have a student who got a master's degree in curriculum, I think, and then got another master's degree in counseling. And so he got it here at IU, and he was going to minor in, he decided he wanted to minor in that counseling. And so he worked with the counseling department to transfer some of those credits in, revalidate them, which I'll talk about in a minute, and then work with the other faculty in order to fit that in and make it a minor. So sometimes you're able to do that. Some people have two masters, one in kind of an IST-related field and one in another, and we can look at the credits from the IST-related field and see if any of them fit with the requirements and transfer those in. Lots of people have taken a foundations class before. So maybe you got a master's and then you took another class in Ed Psych or something like that. Those are usually the easiest ones for us to transfer in. And so just be thinking about that. And once again, if you have any questions about that, you can either ask me or ask your advisor, and they can help analyze your transcript, discuss what might work and what might not work in terms of doing that. Okay. In terms of the core requirements, 30 credits of IST. Our doctoral core is R711 and R690. R711 is a doctoral readings class that provides a broad overview of the field. And R690 is our doctoral research class, which focuses on research methods in our field, specific to our field. So those are the two core requirements. And then typically, how many of you have a degree in educational technology, IST, anything like that? Okay, so typically it's very few. And so for people that don't have a degree in the field, we typically ask you to go and do our master's core, which is our 521, our 541, our 561, our 621, which is the design course, the development course, the analysis course, the evaluation course. For you, if you've already had those, then we'd kind of look at your program and decide which ones would be meaningful to you and which ones would just be redundant. 9 credits of inquiry. Yes, you have to take stats. Let's see. Has Tom gotten that question 3,000 times? Let me think. Yes. So Y502 is the intermediate statistics class. So the 3 classes, Y520 is an introduction to general research methods for any social science education field. Y611 is an introduction to qualitative methods, and Y502 is intermediate statistics or quantitative methods. With Y502, I'll tell you this right now, which I should have told everybody at the beginning, Y502 is actually a 4-credit class, not a 3-credit class. So you take 3 credits of Y502 and 1 credit of what's called Y500, or you learn SPSS, the stats package. And so that's what people are like, why is this 4 credits? And I said, well, because the inquiry department makes you learn SPSS. That's all I have to say. That's kind of the basic. You can definitely, if you want, you can take additional inquiry classes. I keep working with the inquiry department, and they're adding other classes to online. So they have, for example, they have a class on mixed methods design that they've actually, for the first time, offered on to online students. They have a class in program evaluation, which is a little bit different than our evaluation course that they've offered online. And so any of those, if you want to take those in addition, you can feel free to take those, and we can see how we fit that into your program.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's Y535 is the course. And you can even ask, for example, if that's something that you're really interested in, you could request a course substitution and ask for a waiver and do Y535 as your foundations class as opposed to P540 or P505 if you want. So we can work those around if there are some specific courses that you think would be really useful or interesting, then we can work on that.
Well, I don't want to make this all about myself.
No. It's usually all about me.
My master's is from adult ed here, so I've had D5.
That's right.
already.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So I guess it would be a P540, or I would take a look.
Yeah, that would be, and that's absolutely fine. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But because she already is using that course for her master's.
Right. That's the issue with the adult ed masters. You're kind of whammied because none of those actually, because most of the time when people ask, what is the most popular minor? I say adult education. And then, but because you already have your master's, you can't use any of those. So if you wanted to minor in adult ed, you'd have to work with Dr. Trapp or Dr. Pickard and figure out what might be some other classes you could take to make that a minor. Or you can minor in something else. Okay. We're still trying. We've had several people ask if they can minor in inquiry so they could take additional inquiry classes. And we're still working with inquiry to try to do that. They're what's the best word? Slow to adopt online course offerings. I'll just say that. I mean, you should. It was a battle royale to have them offer those 3 options. I say, you know, if we want to do an online EDD, either you offer some of these online, or we have to find someplace else to have them take inquiry. And they're like, okay, we'll do it. Yeah. It's interesting, and that's the other challenge with the minor, is because because you're distance students, you know, in order to do a minor, well, you got to have enough distance classes in order to do a minor. And it's really surprising and interesting when I reach out to different programs and say, hey, would you want to offer an online minor? How kind of hesitant they are. It's like, oh, I don't know if we can, 3 classes? We got to come up with 3 classes to offer online? Are you crazy? You know? And so we're gradually increasing the number of minors that are offered, but it's been a slow and arduous, I guess is the best word, process. Okay, and then, so that's the inquiry. 3 credits of foundations, as we've talked about, which is typically either P540, which is a kind of general educational psychology / learning class, or D505, which is a learning strategies class focusing on adult learners. So we kind of added those depending on what population would be more meaningful to you to learn about. Okay. Minimum 9 credits of a minor. It's sometimes 12, but all the ones that I'll be talking about are all 9. And so there are very few that are 12. And I'll come back to that in a minute. And then 9 credits of dissertation, which is 3 credits of R795, which is a course that is designed to help you prepare your proposal for your dissertation, and R799, which is 6 credits, which is the university's way of scraping a little more money out of you to do your dissertation. Oh, was that an editorial comment? Are we live? Oh, no. Oh, well. I put in some links to other online information. The first link is a link to just general information about the IST program and some program-specific documents, like I put up the old EDD POS, I put up guidelines for the qualifying exam, I put up a program plan for EDD students so that if you, depending on how many classes you want to take per semester, it kind of gives you some guidelines on what classes to take, how you can complete the program, and so on. As I tell every student, and I probably told 1 or more of you this, one of the things I like about this, it is a little bit different because I've spent a lot of time either talking with other programs, giving a little bit of consultation on other institutions that want to offer an online EDD. One of the things I like about this is that it's not cohort-based. So yeah, you get to know your classmates because you're going to be in class with them, but you can progress at your own pace. So as I say, if you want to take 1 class a semester, you can take 1 class a semester and finish. And I can give you examples of students that have taken 1 class a semester and finished. It takes a little longer, of course, but for many of you who are working professionals, who already have leadership positions where you are, that sometimes is a better option because you've got jobs and you're busy. If you want to take more than that, there's options. You can take 2 classes a semester. I highly recommend that you don't take more than 2 a semester. We have had students that have taken more, but many times the students that have taken more have said, I want to get done, and I've asked for a leave of absence from my job. Or I've decided that I'm going to move to part-time while I'm finishing this, or something like that. We rarely have many students that are full-time, working full-time and also taking more than 2 classes a semester. But talk to your advisor about that. Okay. Any general questions on this so far? Put my glasses back on. 2. Okay. So I'm just going to go through the kind of the core requirements or the core requirements 1 slide at a time. Okay. IST course requirements, 30 credit hours, R711 and R690 are our doctoral core. Now, what we've done with those, we used to, just in case you're interested in history of the EdD program and things that we've done based on student feedback. We used to have our 711 and 690, we used to front load those and have people take them really early. And what we found was, particularly for students that kind of slow and steady win the race kind of thing, that wasn't the optimal time for them to take it. It was more optimal for them to take it a little bit later in the program. So what we've done is kind of revised our recommendations for students in that, particularly if you don't have an IST degree or an IST related degree, we typically advise you to do the master's core first, finish those classes, and then move into the doctoral core afterwards. We found from student feedback that they found it much more meaningful and useful to take the classes a little later as opposed to right away. And so once again, that's something, either talk with me or talk with your advisor about what might be the best time to take those classes. Typically, I teach R711, so get me. And then recently, Dr. Ozul has been teaching R690, the online research method. Just FYI, those two classes are also our doctoral core for the PhD program. And so actually, they're very, very similar. In fact, I've taught the residential and online versions of R711, and I don't change it very much at all, other than kind of the way that we do discussions, of course, because we're online. Some of the requirements are a little bit different, but not much. Okay. For individuals with a non-IST master's, we recommend the core 511, 521, 541, 561, and 621. 511, that's something that we keep going back and forth on in terms of whether or not we should make non-IST masters take that or not take that. And so we've kind of turned that into more of an option, because our 511 is kind of our 711 light. And it's really designed more for master's students. So you spend a lot of time talking about what are the career fields in IST, what are some of the foundational concepts of IST, and so on. And we've had from feedback from students that have taken 511 and 711. They said, well, 711, there's a bit of overlap between the two, and I found 711 a lot more useful than 511. So once again, that's something to talk with your advisor about. As I said, we've really been making that more of an optional class. If you take it, that's fine. It'll totally count towards the 30 credits, but it may not be that necessary to take 511 and then take 711. Okay. As I said, based on a review of your master's transcript, even if you have an IST-related degree, talk with your advisor, because degrees are all different. And so some things that may be covered in one degree may not be covered in our degree, and vice versa. And so your advisor may look at your master's transcript and say, yeah, looks like you did you've already taken an instructional design class, looks like you took a lot of production. Don't see that you've had a lot of experience in evaluation, so maybe you want to take 560. Or I don't see needs assessment type class. You may want to take 621 just to round yourself out. So that's something based on discussion with your advisor. And then beyond that, then it's really open for you to kind of pursue your interests in terms of what electives you choose. We try to offer at least 2 electives a semester, ranging from advanced instructional design classes, like I taught learning environments last semester for the first time in 15 years. And that was really more of like an advanced instructional design class where you looked at how do you design instruction for more non-traditional settings and for content that may not be so straightforward to present and things like that. Professor Bowling always offers an advanced development class. Dr. Cho offers classes in HRD, Human Resource Development, and HPT, Human Performance Technology, for people that are interested in that. Dr. Kwan offers classes in web-based instruction. About web-based instruction. Dr. Blazewski always offers her problem-based learning class. Dr. Lefwich offers a seminar in K-12 technology integration for people interested in that. Who am I missing? Dr. Pickard offered a class that we kind of tried to cross-list this semester. There was an advanced adult learning, adult literacy class. Dr. Ozul offers multimedia research and development. Oh, Dr. Bonk, how can I bring that? Dr. Bonk offers his classes. They're just interesting. So he offers one on advanced teaching strategies, and then another one on, what's it called? What's 678 called?
It's emerging.
Emerging learning technologies. Thank you. This is what happens when you get old. Forget stuff. And so he usually offers one of those in the fall and one in the spring. And the other thing we're always striving to do, if people have suggestions on, boy, I sure would like a class on this, or I'm really interested in this, let us know. Because we also try to allow faculty freedom so that they just want to offer a seminar on a topic. Those are called R685s. And just say, hey, I'd like to do a topical seminar on this. Then we try to offer those. And my only rule when a faculty, because as chair, which hopefully I won't be after this semester, I always tell faculty, my only rule is that you've got to offer it online as well. So I always make them offer it online. I say, you can offer it face-to-face, but offer it blended. It'd be great. You know, and so because we have so many students that are online, and I like to give you as many opportunities to look at different types of classes as opposed to just kind of the straightforward basics. Okay? Yes?
Is there a place where we can see those listed semester by semester?
Yes. In the, I'll see if I can find it. On our website, we try to update the course offerings every semester, and then we usually keep the previous year so you can see what we offered last year, what we're offering this year, and so on. It should be in the this link, the top link here. There should be a link to courses, but let me ask Vicki and make sure that they didn't move it on me, because we've also been updating, the School of Ed has been updating their website from the horrible website that they used to have to one now that's still kind of horrible, but not as bad as the previous one. And so it's funny, I was in here this morning, as you know, I was in this morning and I clicked on a link and I go, why is this link broken? So I had to go back and find the site. So let me ask Vicki and make sure. Other questions? Okay, onward. Okay, inquiry and foundation requirements. Okay, minimum 9 credit hours of inquiry, which is actually 10 credits. The Y520 research method, that class is offered online every semester. So fall, spring, summer. Y502 intermediate statistics, that class is offered twice a year, fall, summer. Here is my feedback from students. Because they'll always tell me, oh my God, don't take that in the summer. Because the reason why is they compress it into a 6-week class. So if you really want to get it done fast, you can do that. It's up to you. So they do it as a 6-week intensive summer session in the summer. And then in the fall, they do it as a regular 16-week class. And then Y611 is offered in the summer and spring. At least that was the schedule this past year, the past couple of years. I keep asking them to see if they could offer those 502 and 611 every semester because we have additional new online programs that are being started, initiated in the School of Ed, and everybody requires these classes. And so my advice to you is when you take them, register early, particularly for these. We worked with Inquiry to provide distance students a window. So you have, from the day registration begins, I think you have a month to write where only distance students can register for the online classes. After a month, then they open it up to anyone, which always makes me mad because I'm like, if you're a residential student, why are we allowing them to take a class online? I said, well, you know, some people have this, some people have that. It's more, their schedules are challenging, whatever. So I lost that battle. But at least I won the battle of the 4-week window, so that you have that window at the beginning. And it actually, if you look at the schedule online, there will be a note for the class, and it'll say, this is available only to distance students until, and it'll give you the exact date when it opens up for everyone. Yes.
So you said 502, don't take it in the summer. It's typically just fall. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
It's
If they don't offer it in the spring. They offer 6-11 in the spring instead.
Okay.
And I'm saying I've had students that have taken it and been successful in the summer. It's just that it's a lot more intense in the summer than it is in the fall. Yes.
When does registration for the summer open?
Registration for the summer will open in 2 weeks.
Okay.
The summer schedule is still not even out there.
Yeah, it'll come out and then it'll open up. If you want the exact date, just ask Vicky. She knows everything. So Vicky will be able to say, yes, it's March 14th. But usually summer schedule opens up right around spring break. So the week after next is spring break. So it'll open up around then. And the summer I can tell you right now, even though it's only 6 weeks, the summer 502 and the summer 611 get snapped up like that. Because a lot of people like to do it in the summer because it's a little bit more downtime for people and stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
I missed classes registration opening in the fall, spring.
Yeah.
And I got the last spot for 520.
520,
so
yeah.
I went on like, whoa, 19
Yeah.
or 26
And-
taken.
Yeah, and like I say, that's because like now we have literacy, culture, and language ed has an online EDD, and they require that. And then higher ed has an EDD, and they require that inquiry classes. Educational leadership has an online doctoral. No, maybe they don't. They're working on it. But more and more are getting these online degrees, and they're all requiring that inquiry core. And so that's why it's becoming more difficult, which is why I keep saying, offer it every semester. So, and we'll keep working on it.
Is there a different stats class that would transfer in? Every time I've tried to take 502, it's been full in like the first 4 hours.
That's a great question. Here's the rule on that. The answer is yes. If there's another intermediate, an equivalent class that's offered somewhere else, and you can get into it and take it, you can do that. Please, though, before you do that, contact me or contact your advisor. Give me the syllabus. I will share that with the inquiry department and decide whether an inquiry class is equivalent. So I don't want you taking a class and then afterwards inquiry says, that's not the same as our class. You can't count that. So we've had students do that. And for example, at other IU campuses, if you want to take it, if there's Y502 at another IU campus, that's the same class. So we have to, I shouldn't say we, inquiry has to accept it because they're all equivalent across campuses. So if there's a Y502 up north or at IUPUI or whatever, and you can take it residentially if you want and still transfer it. Yeah, that will work. But if there's one, like we've had students that have, I had a student that was in New York and worked for a university at one of the SUNY schools, one of the State University of New York schools, and they got a tuition credit. And they said, hey, there's a stats class here at this class, can I take it? I said, send me the transcript. And it worked out that the faculty said, yes, it's the same one. It's okay. Sure.
So I took a stats class as part of my master's.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to do this one.
Oh, that's a really good question. Did you take like the Y502 type intermediate stats?
Yeah, it was SPSS's Oleo Student
Okay.
Skills Informatics.
Okay. Once again, send the transcript,
Okay.
and then I'll just make sure that the faculty see this as that's pretty much the same class. And then if that's the case, then you can take another.
Just do another
Yep,
elective.
you can do an elective.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I'll do it if I have to.
Right. No, we don't want you to. If you've already done it, we definitely don't want you to have to do the same gosh darn class again. So anybody that will work. But like I said, I don't want to get you in trouble come, come reviewing your program of study time when inquiry goes, you know, and says, no, that doesn't really count. Okay. Other questions? Good. Oh, we're doing pretty well with time. Usually I'm 3 hours over by now. Okay. Foundation class, as I said, minimum of 3 credits. You can select one. P540 is a learning theories class. That's also one of the classes in the learning sciences minor. And so if you take P540 and you want to do a minor in learning sciences, that will also count as a class in learning sciences. So you kind of double dip. But students ask me this all the time. That doesn't mean you only have to take 57 credits. You still have to take 60 credits. And so if you say, okay, I'm doing P540, that's my foundations class and my minor class, and basically that just opens it up. You can take another IST class if you want. You can take another inquiry class. You can take another elective on whatever you want, and that'll be fine. Same thing with D505. D505, Adult Learning Through the Lifespan, is also one of the classes that's part of the minor in Adult Ed. And so if you take that, that'll also count in Adult Ed and free you up so you can take another class and something else if you want. So those are the 2. And like I said, we're pretty flexible with the foundations classes. I mean the rule, like for the PhD students, the rule is they have to take 6 hours of foundations. The rule is it can't be in our class. It can't be an IST class. But you know, I took, because I got my PhD here, I took the law and education because I went over to law school. They thought I was crazy. But it was fun. It was really interesting. You know, the professor said, you'll never pass this class. He told me that in the first class. You're from education? We do things a bit differently here over in the law school. Talk about motivation. Talk about, anyway. But yeah, so once again, talk to your advisor about the class. Okay, doctoral minor. It's 9 credit hours. You have to have a faculty member from your minor on your advisory committee. Your advisory committee is the committee that signs your plan of study, program of study, and kind of advises you on courses that you take through the program. And also your IST members of your advisory committee are the ones that work with you for one of your qualifying exam questions when you get to that point. Okay. The third bullet there, right now there are no minors in the School of Education that require a minor qualifying exam. So although there may be some out in the world that require a qualifying exam, typically that is not the case. You usually don't have to worry about a qualifying exam specifically for your minor, depending on what minor you take. You still have to do our qualifying exam, but you don't do the minor. Current ones that are available that students are taking within the School of Ed, adult education. They just started an education law minor, which I think is kind of interesting. Educational leadership, learning sciences, LCLE, literacy, culture, and language ed, and special education. I don't know why higher ed doesn't have a minor. I better check with them. KISA, Higher Ed and Student Affairs, because they have an online EDD. So I'm wondering, unless they're like, we don't want to have anybody other than us be in our program, which sometimes happens. There are other options outside, particularly much more difficult for students that are not around this area. But if you're at IUPUI or others, and you can take residential classes, then your minor may open up a bit in terms of what you're able to do. But in terms of online, these are the ones that I know of right now that have online options for their minor. Yes?
Do we, if we want to do a minor outside of the school, do we talk to that school first, or do we talk to our advisor first, or?
Yes. What I would do is I guess, I would probably talk to the school first and then your advisor, because probably what your advisor will say is, geez, I don't know if they have a minor. Maybe you should go check with them. Just be careful, a minor outside the School of Ed may be 12 credits. Because they may not have an EDD, because an EDD is a School of Education doctoral degree. A PhD is a graduate school IU degree. And so the rules are different. Like a PhD minor is 12 credits, 12 credits minimum, 12 to 15 credits. And so you may go to informatics or go to other places and they'll say, yeah, we have a doctoral minor. It's these 12 credits. We don't have a 9-credit minor. And so that's just something to check with them. Okay. Business, don't even bother. I've tried them forever. Everybody wanted to do a business minor, but business is like, well, sure. If they want to join our MBA program and pay $30 billion, then sure, we'll let them take, they can use 9 credits of that as a minor, but they still got to do the MBA with us. And so they didn't see the incentive, I guess, of having a minor for their EDD. Yeah. Questions on the minor? Like I said, other than the law one, which is new, I know of students that have done each one of these minors. So I know students in special ed, LCLE, science. Probably the most popular ones are adult ed and learning sciences are the 2 most popular. Okay. Residency requirement, okay? 3 things, okay? You have to come here 3 times and see our bright and shiny faces. Once, you've already done it. Yay, congratulations. You've fulfilled 1 residency requirement. The other one, you have to come here to do your qualifying exam, which is a 2-day exam, offered generally in April and in October. Every day. We don't offer them in the summer because faculty go all over the place. I always let students know, everybody's on the EDD mailing list, right? So you get all kinds of crazy emails from me via Vicky. Are you not on the EDD mailing list? All right, we'll talk to Vicky and make sure that you're on it before you go. But I always will, at the beginning of every year, I'll tell all EDD students when the fall qualifying exam is, when the spring qualifying exam is, and when the IST conference is, so that people have lots of time to plan for that. In fact, we're even going to do it earlier this year. So actually next week, during our faculty meeting, we're going to set all those dates for next year. So we'll know well in advance, and I'll share that with everyone. The other reason for that is that they're, so we have a really big building that has a zillion classrooms that they decided to close to totally renovate it. And everybody's coming to the School of Ed to steal all our classes and conference rooms and all that stuff. So Vicky's like, we need to get these dates now so I can, because basically we use the entire 2nd floor for the IST conference. So we've got all the rooms basically. So that's one of the other reasons why we're scheduling them early this year, okay? The 3rd one is you have to come here to defend your dissertation. Your dissertation proposal defense, which is basically a meeting with your committee before we say, okay, go do your dissertation. We do that online. You can come here if you want, but we do that online, so you don't have to come for that. Basically, this one, come for the quals, come to defend your proposal. Defend your dissertation. Okay. Credit transfer and revalidation. Okay. As I said, up to 18 credits beyond your initial master's or other advanced degree may be transferred, but this usually isn't possible because it's really hard to mix and match all that. The transfer, if you're going to transfer a course, it has to be at the graduate level. It has to be you have to have gotten a B or better, or they won't allow it. And I can tell you for a fact this is the case because we had a student that tried to transfer a class in, and we had it all set. And silly Tom didn't go look at his transcript to see what grade he got on the class that he was transferring in. And he got a C+. And so grad studies, the bad guys. said, we can't transfer that in, Tom. You gotta be kidding me. So yes, gotta be better. Typically, independent study or thesis credits can't be transferred because we just don't know what they are. And these are all like university policies, basically. And then this is really important. So you have to have completed a course within 7 years of the date that you're finishing your coursework and are admitted to candidacy, meaning that you've completed all your courses and you've passed the qualifying exam. You have 7 years for that in order for that class to count. If it's older than 7 years from that date, it won't count, and you'll have to go through what's called a revalidation process of that class. Basically, some way of us knowing that you haven't forgotten anything from that class that you took 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. Now, this is not uncommon. So if you do have a class that you want to transfer in that's old, doesn't mean that we can't transfer it in. There are ways to do it. The easiest way is if you take a class that we consider a more advanced class than the one you took, boom, the class is revalidated. So say you took a class equivalent to R511, Intro to the Field of Us, and then you take R711, but you took the R511 type class 9 years ago. Take 711, that class is revalidated. Other thing that we've had students do is they say, well, I took this class and now I teach it. We're like, that works. It's revalidated. Or you can do a project or show artifacts that demonstrate that you're applying the knowledge from that class. That revalidates it. So there's lots of different ways to revalidate a class that's older if you want to do that. If you go beyond 7 years here in terms of classes, that's still the case. So say 8 years from now, you're doing quals. Any of the classes you took your first year, we'd have to revalidate. And so we'd have to say, okay, how are we going to revalidate? Say you took 511, 521 your first year or something. We'd have to figure out how to revalidate those in order for everything to be okay. Now, we prefer that you get done with your coursework in less than 7 years, or 7 years or less, but you have that long. You have 7 years to be admitted to candidacy, to complete your coursework and qualifying exam before any of those classes expire. Which is why, as I tell students, if you take one class a semester, you're fine. I have it all worked out where you take one class a semester, you can be done in 5 years. So it works. If you want to take more, you can be done a little faster. Okay, questions on that? Yes?
I completed the IST certificate, but more than 7 years ago. So I need to then
Revalidate those classes. Yep. But, so you took 511, right?
Yes.
Bing, you're going to take 711. So that's an easy one. You took 521. So if you take 625, 626, that'll revalidate that. 541, let me think. I'll talk to the rest of Nolan. You can take 542, 621. Talk to Dr. Cho. I mean, you may have one, she has a 600 level class that may revalidate that. Or, I said, the other thing is you can just say, well, I'm doing needs analysis all the time. Here's an example of a needs analysis project that I did last month. Okay, like that. So it's not, like I said, we're not huge sticklers on that. We figure that you probably are applying the knowledge, although I was a math teacher, and I'm not sure I can teach math 11 right now in high school. Yikes! I got a math degree. But yeah, we can work that out. Okay. Other questions? Oh, I'm not doing bad. Okay. On the next session, for people that want to stick around, we'll talk about the qualifying exam, nomination to candidacy and beyond, and the dissertation process. Okay. Important tips. Okay. We really, 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 really want you to the point where I ask faculty to keep kind of a log of their advisees and say, did you talk to each one of yours this semester? We really want you to consult with your advisor before registering for classes each semester. We've just found that to be extremely beneficial to the student. Because then it's not, you're not misadvised, you're not,
The next one, I'm on time.
you're 5 minutes early. But you can come in and sit if you want.
Thank you.
No, I should have locked that door. I shouldn't have unlocked that. No. Yeah. Okay, so consult with your advisor. Please register for classes as soon as possible each semester, because even our classes many times will get filled up quickly. Particularly the ones that are like the master's core classes that we ask you to take. They're classes that our certificate students take, our master's students take, and our EdD students take, like 521, 541, 561, and so they tend to be able to get filled up rather quickly. As I said before, they're given a registration window at the beginning of the registration period. For classes in your minor, consult with your minor advisor or a faculty member in your minor area for advice on that. I can give you a little advice on some of them, and I can also give you names of faculty members who you'd want to talk to in each of the minor areas if you want to start thinking about that. Okay. It's always good, like, you know, you don't, it's good to start thinking about it. You don't have to right now, like, pick your minor or anything like that because you're early in the program. But there's never anything wrong with starting to think about what you might be interested in, you want to be a minor, and reaching out to faculty in that area so they can give you advice on what classes to take. You know, for example, learning sciences, for people interested in that, they offer different types of online seminars every semester. So if you're interested in that, you may want to consult with the faculty there, and they say, oh my gosh, we're offering this class this semester. You may be interested in taking it. So it's never too early to do that. And then the last one, course substitution for our requirements are rare. As I said, do I have to take stats? So just be thinking about that. But once again, consult with me or your advisor if you have any specific questions about that. All right. Any other questions or concerns that you have about the program as you're entering into it? Any questions?
So as we begin to start thinking about our minor areas, are we then, so for example, if I wanted to do something focusing on educational leadership, am I assigned an advisor from that area, or do I just speak with a faculty member, or how does that work?
Typically, you're not assigned an advisor. Typically, you request an advisor. Okay. And you usually do that through, I said, like, if you're interested in leadership, I probably would have you talk to Dr. Irwin. She's wonderful, and she likes me. And she would give you some advice on what classes to take. And then once you get into the classes, depending on who you might resonate with or whatever, I don't know what the best word is, you may ask them to be your minor advisor. Okay. The role of the minor advisor, particularly in the at this stage of your program, the advice, you know, in terms of coursework, the role of the minor advisor is pretty minor. Basically, they just recommend what courses that you take, make sure that you're taking the courses to fulfill the minor, and then sign off on your plan of study that you're taking the right courses for the minor. They don't, because there isn't a minor qualifying exam, they don't have anything to do with the qualifying exam. When you get to dissertation phase, then typically a representative from your minor is on your dissertation committee, which I'll talk about in the next session. And so that's when they're a little bit more involved at that phase. Okay. Other questions? All right, well, thank you very much. We have 2 minutes till the next session. So if you want to go get some more coffee, or if you want to go to another session, that's fine. Or if you want to come back, that's fine too. All right.
It's 2102 downstairs.
No, 2102.
2102 should be straight across.
So 2102 is inside the graduate studies office. So if you go straight down here, you'll get to a glass panel,
Yeah.
and there's doors there, and then inside there is the 2102 conference room. It's right there. Yep.
To meet Sharon.
Oh,
We do so much
nice.
correspondence on
Nice.
email.
Yeah.
It's nice to meet somebody that I work with.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she is.
Okay, let me see. Get this one. Recent, advanced.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Ah, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And I'll see you around. I'll be around.
Yeah.
I'm here all day.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, do this. Okay. What do I do to?
Dr. Brush, are you using the same Zoom link to present your screen?
I can.
So could you minimize this one too? Where is your Zoom session?
Up there. Then turn the share.
Sharing your screen.
Okay, got it. Yep, perfect. Okay,
So if you just say share.
and we're good. Thank you very much. I think we had some people come in for this session, I think.
We have an extra person online.
Yeah.
So I think it's just 1 till now.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, hopefully, yeah. We're
Yeah.
going to record every session throughout the conference today. So.
Are we gonna have an opportunity to ask you like individual type questions?
No.
during this? No.
Never.
Or
The answer
we
is
have to
no.
catch you later.
Vicky
I don't know
has
how
a
scripted your presentation
Vicky
is.
has the greatest button on her desk. That's the no
No.
button. So you hit it and it goes no. Hit it again. It goes no, 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 no. Yes, of course you can answer
Yeah,
any
yeah,
questions.
yeah. Okay.
By the way, this is the only time you get to see me like this.
No,
So,
Looks nice.
do you think I picked this out?
I don't know. I take it no by that reason.
So if you want to be here, you can step out. Or you can
Hey, how are you? Dr. Brush gonna steal this one, or is Dr. Kozuski coming?
No, Dr. Lucy won't be here. She's recovering from some surgery. So it's just me. This is it. You got me.
Really?
Here's your folder. We're going to talk in the lecture.
I'm
Very resistant to change.
Met before.
at least
Yeah.
virtual.
Yeah, you've been in a couple of my classes, I think.
So every time that
Last one was probably stats. With, I'm trying to remember her name. I can't think of it.
So it's only been about 7 months.
Dr. Laura?
Yeah. Yeah. And Stephanie. Under.
Yeah.
California.
I took to check out. I took the qualitative analysis. That's course.
Okay.
Research methods. That's one kind of
Okay.
bang, 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 bang. 2 of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Coming right
All
at you.
those professors kind of run together because I haven't had any of them here. You know,
Oh, okay,
You
yeah.
just let 600
Yeah.
run free across the country and that's come back.
So are you still pre-falls then?
Yes, but in the fall. I've been taking 2 courses a term since the fall 16. So I'm wrapping up coursework, do one this summer, and then
I just took my falls. Kind of taking this out. So one of my questions today is, hopefully I don't have to revalidate anything because I'm kind of doing this out of my frame, like that 7 years or whatever you get.
And that's why I transferred credits to masters. But yeah, and then I just have some questions about like sequencing, 799, like GS 901. So right now I'm doing
Holy cow!
So it's figuring out the timeline and everything, and a lot of it is why I do that
Is that
maybe.
right? Well, sure.
But yeah, I think there's different ways.
We are ready. Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome, I'm Dr. Tom Brush, the current interim chair of IST after having been chair and then not chair, but not chair for a semester. And I'm also the coordinator of the EdD program, as you probably all know, and probably everyone has emailed me at least once to discuss it. So this is a session to talk about, as you're finishing up your coursework program, what to expect, what are some of the things that you do from here on out for that. And it doesn't matter what level you're at in terms of the program. So if you're a first year, this is still interesting information. If you're advanced, then it's useful information. So why don't we start off by going around the room and briefly introducing yourself and say where you are in the program, and then I'll get started.
Hey, I'm Doug Berry. Should finish up coursework, take quals in the fall. But I thought advanced EdD students meant that it was for the smartest ones. So that's what
That is true. I will not deny that. So welcome, advanced students.
Amy Benson. I'm post quals. I just took my quals last fall, November.
Did you pass them?
Yeah.
See?
Yes.
People pass them.
So if you want to know anything about the experience, I can tell you about that. So I have my first credit of $7.99 this semester. So I have questions about like taking this post quals. Hopefully I don't have to revalidate anything. Kind of out of my time.
No.
Okay.
Once you're ABD, your clock restarts.
Okay.
Did people not tell you these things?
No.
Okay, well, I'll tell you. So,
They said double check with Dr. Rush. Is what they said. So, and then I have questions about like sequencing and the whole entire time frame. 799, GS 901, G901, things like that.
I can answer them. And if I can't, I know people.
Okay, great. So.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Andy Campbell. I'm the coach that's usually in the online courses. I'm about 4 shy of going to the qualifying exam.
Mm-hmm.
Hello everyone, I'm Michelle Gribbins, and I have 1 class left this summer and then go to the polls in the fall.
Mary Bakley, this is my 2nd class. I'm just here to forewarn this forearm, I guess.
But you are an IST veteran.
Yes.
Because you completed the certificate.
This is true.
Yeah. And she came back.
And this is the end of my 2nd year, so I'd love to hear your stories about it.
Angie Leekman, and I'm taking fall this semester. I'm Erin Milanese. I think I have 1 more year of coursework, so fall 2020.
We'll see.
Yuejin from Toronto. I think I have 1 more year to go for my qualifying exam, but I finished my master's year as well.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Priyanka Chopra, and I will be taking my course this term now in March, and please tell me. It'll be okay. Yeah, and then I jump into the work.
The work?
The actual
The
one.
fun.
Me? All right. Name is G, and I have 3 classes so far, so I guess I'm a newbie here. Should not be advanced in any way, but I just wanted to use that one to see if this is too hard. I'm out.
Don't worry.
Thanks.
I'll lie.
I'm home, so
And yes, you may introduce yourself again.
Okay, so I was here for the first session. Some of you may know me. I'm offering tech support for the IST conference as a volunteer. So I'm just a side person. I'm not really taking part in the discussions, but just in case Dr. Brush needs any help, we will always be for support. So.
And we have one person.
We have one person on. I think he was trying to say that it's difficult to hear everybody in the room. Yes, those are.
Let's put that in the middle, I guess.
In the center, there's I think one on this side as well.
Okay, let's move that out. And don't worry, I was a high school math teacher. I can talk loudly. Worse, I was a technology director for a school district, and teachers and students are the worst. I'll tell you that now. I did professional development, and I would do like workshops, and this is way back in the 90s, and so we're learning like, you know, Claris Works and things like that, if people remember those. When I was done with a workshop, I wouldn't be able to talk. I'd be hoarse because all the teachers would come in. I'd always do it after school, and they wanted to talk about everything other than what I wanted to talk about. So they're all talking to each other about, oh, do you remember this student? And oh, I haven't seen you in a while. It's like, so I'd be yelling. So I'll try to be louder. Okay, so what we're going to talk about. Okay, we already did that. I'm going to do real quick the review of the EdD requirements and plan a study, and then I'll do that really quickly because most of you have either already heard this or are already done with this, and then I'll get into the advanced requirements. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Okay, you have to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Latrice Booker.
Hi, Latrice.
Hi.
And Latrice, tell us where you are in the program.
I am. I'm not sure how to explain it, but I believe I'll be finishing my coursework in the fall.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. So this is what we just finished. So you're coming in at just the right time.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now we're done with welcome and introductions. And I'll go through that, and then I'll get into the advanced requirements, and then we'll hopefully have, if I don't talk too much, we'll have opportunities for questions and those kinds of things. And then also, I don't think I have anything anything formal scheduled after this, so I'm planning to just go into my office, and if anyone wants to join me and have a continued chat, we can just walk over to my dark office and talk there. Okay? All right. So, boom, going into it. Everybody know what this is? This is your planned program of study that no longer is in existence because we've moved online. We're happy. Okay? So if you haven't already completed a plan of study or program of study and had that filed and signed and all that, and had me go hunt down all the advisors to make sure that they signed the paper document that you completed, which I'm like, yay, they're doing it online. Then we have a new online one, which is this link down here at the bottom. So the education.indiana.edu/EPOS now is where you go to complete your plan of study if you haven't done so already. Okay? And it's awesome. It makes me so happy because basically what it does is you go to that link, you log in with your IU username and password, and it automatically knows that you're an EdD student. It automatically will populate the plan of study with the requirements along with the courses that you've already taken that fit into that. And then you put in your advisory committee, which I'll talk about in a minute, and it'll automatically route the POS electronically to all the advisory committee members so that they can click approve, and it's all done electronically. So Tom doesn't have to go, and usually, to be perfectly honest, Tom doesn't have to go ask Vicki if she'll go find these faculty members and get them to gosh darn sign the POS. Now all I have to do is when a student emails me and says, Dr. X, I won't say who X is, hasn't signed my POS yet electronically. Can you poke them? Then all I have to do is send an email and say, hey, Dr. X, did you get a little email that said that you had a POS ready for you to approve? And Dr. X will say, no. And I'll say, yes, you did. Look for this subject line. And then they'll say, oh, I see that I did get that, and I will sign it. So it makes it a lot easier to do the EPOS now. But I bring that up now because the Graduate Studies Office now isn't even accepting paper ones anymore. So basically, and I know this because I had Troy Cochran, who's one of my students. I said, oh, fill this out. Told him to fill it out last semester. We submit it, and they say, we're not accepting them anymore. So he had to go back and do it online. So if you haven't done one yet, just do it online. But how many people have already completed their POS? Okay, so most of you have. Especially if you're ABD, you should have already done it. Which means that you don't have to revalidate any classes or anything.
Dr. Brush, I think mine's already slightly off. So after, as far as there's certain required courses, obviously for the minor, all that's square. But when it comes to just swapping out an R elective for another R elective, do we need to get it reapproved every time?
No, basically all you got to do for that is what's called a course substitution. There's a course substitution form that you fill out. Let me check and make sure. I'm not sure if they've moved that online yet. That may be still a paper form. Okay. Basically, you do that and say, it'll have two columns. It'll say course on your POS, course you're substituting it with. You put those in, and then your advisor signs it, and then it starts. And that's it. And then so you don't have to, once your POS is approved, you don't have to redo your POS. You just have to, if you do any substitution, you just have to do that.
Okay.
Okay?
Do you need to do the substitution form every time you make a change that's different from the original form?
No. You only have to, the course substitution form has a bunch of lines. So you can do like 5 classes with one form if you want, or something like that. And the reason you do that is because when the Graduate Studies Office does the final check of your POS, they're going to look at what courses you took and what's on your POS, and they'll let us know. If they say, wait a minute, these are on the POS, but they didn't take these courses, they took these instead, we need to have a substitution form. But you can do one form for all those at once. Okay? Other questions on that? Okay. All the other stuff probably you're familiar with, 30 credits, 9 credits of inquiry. Okay.
Well, I guess I do have one question. So is the POS still kind of open and active until you're all done? 36 credits of $7.99?
No.
No.
POS is
okay,
once
outside of that.
Once you have completed coursework, except for our 795, you don't. Okay. And once you've passed qualifying exam, your POS is done. It's cast in stone. You can throw it away. All that. It is done forever. You never have to worry about it again. Okay. Core requirements. I think most of you already know that. Okay. Inquiry foundation. Probably most of you already know that. Okay. Minor. Probably most of you already know that. Anybody who doesn't know this? Okay. I always just bring it up because I never know what level people are going to be at in the advanced session. Okay. All right. Then let's get to some of the things that many of you might care about. Okay. So you're happily taking courses. You've got your plan of study approved. You have your advisory committee. How many people are on an advisory committee? And how many IST faculty? 2. And what's the third one? Why am I even doing this? I wonder. Okay, yes, so you have your advisory committee, 2 IST faculty members, 1 minor. That's the committee that approves your courses, to make sure that you're taking the right courses, all is kosher, all those kinds of things. Okay, when you get to the qualifying exam, you've gotten to the point where you're almost done with coursework. You get to the qualifying exam, this is where you work with your two IST faculty member on your advisory committee. Typically, your minor member doesn't have anything to do with your qualifying exam. And the reason for that is that we don't have any minors in the School of Ed that require a minor qualifying exam. Used to be when people were in the doctoral program in the 80s and 90s at IU, like old people like me. I actually did my degree in special ed with a minor in IST, and I had to do a minor qualifying exam. I had to sit in a room for 4 hours and write questions. But you luckily don't have to do that anymore. We kind of heard that. Probably because faculty are like, do I really want to do this? But the other reason is we couldn't figure out what was the advantage of a minor qualifying exam. So anyway, you get to the qualifying exam, you work with your two IST advisors. Okay? The qualifying exam, the final requirement prior to what's called admitted to candidacy, or ABD. So when you say, I'm ABD, that means you're all but dissertation, is what ABD stands for. The exam consists of 2 parts. Okay? It's covered over 2 days. Okay? The first day is a full day proctored exam covering IST foundations, research, and research methods. And then the day 2 is what's called the committee question, which is a question that I don't know if collaborate's the right word. You work with your 2 IST committee members to come up with a question that's meaningful to you, typically related to what you want to study for your dissertation. Okay. Day 1 are the 2 committee questions. You're given, in the morning, you get 1 question to complete. In the afternoon, you get another question to complete. You're given 3.5 hours for each question. And lunch is provided in the middle. Yes?
So you know these questions?
No, you do not.
Oh.
You don't know those 2 questions. The committee question you do. The committee question we give you, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, having said that, you don't know what the questions are, but we know that one of them is going to be a
Literature review.
Critique.
Critique. And critique.
Yeah, so one of them is going to be an article.
Yeah.
Okay? What is that? You should not be looking like that. Everyone should be great at doing article critiques by now. God, didn't you think 7-Eleven? And I know Dr. O'Zool made you do article critiques in 690, right? Okay. So one of them is going to be an article critique. So you get an original article, and you'll be asked to critique that. The other one is a little bit more open. The other one is more of a test of your general knowledge. And so ones that we've done in the past that you can probably assume that we'll do in the future. We've had ones where we give you a scenario and you have to develop an evaluation plan for a scenario. We've had ones where we give you a set of topics and you have to select a topic and write a white paper on some of the key attributes of that topic. We've had students in the past select one area of the EdD model or the design model and talk about and discuss some of the critical attributes of what is good design, or what is good analysis, or what is good evaluation, or something like that. So typically the focus is on you demonstrating your broad knowledge of our field. And so, and I'll tell you right now, we want you to be successful. So we're not going to give you a question that's like, oh, let's give them that one and see if everybody fails it. It'll be awesome. Because then Dr. Brush has to go let them know. It'll be so much fun. It's so much fun, yeah.
Dr. Brush, when it says discuss current research in the field, is that at the level of just the big name or seminal works that we reference? We're not, we don't need dates and text citation, or
if you're going to cite them. Yeah, no. What can you bring to your qualifying exam?
Just about anything.
Anything you want except for a person.
So I got a little nervous when I saw one of my student friends come in with his suitcase full of textbooks. And I was intimidated, but I'm glad I didn't do that.
That was the one that had the roller thing, right?
Patrick, I think.
Yeah,
did that.
Patrick had the roller.
And I was like, I started like breathing really fast. I'm like, I don't want to take home textbooks. You don't need to probably do that.
Yeah.
Because I think he flew too. I don't even know. But just have your
Patrick Walsh. Yeah.
resources organized and
Yeah.
you know, you can have your computer.
Yep.
and your
Everybody
online.
has. You can have your computer, or we provide one for you. You can access the internet. Anything else? You can bring whatever you want. Yeah. And so so this is not a. This isn't like Tom taking the quals where that's the way it was when Tom took them. It's like you go sit in a cell.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, I don't remember this person. I know that he said something, and he was someone. Let me make it up. You know, no. This is you and so that in terms of preparing, that's something you can think about as you're preparing. What is going to be useful for me to bring? You know, what did I do in 7-11? You can bring article critiques that you did really well on, so you can remind yourself, why did I do well on this article critique? I better make sure I include this when I do this article critique.
You have access to all your library of your contributions throughout your program on IU, so that's a big source. Just know where things are, right? Because it is time.
Yeah.
And our deliverables, are they on a Word document?
Say again?
The deliverables, the questions,
Yes.
or the answers would be on a Word document?
Well, no, basically I just hand them to you, but then you use Microsoft Word to answer. I mean, the questions are really about that long, so so I just go, here's your first question. So as I said, we really are just trying to give you the opportunity to demonstrate your knowledge of the field. That what have I learned? How can I use this knowledge to answer kind of be asked in the future, particularly that other question. The article critique is more you're demonstrating your
So I primarily looked at the work I did over the entire length of the program and said, okay, because it's so broad. That's the most nerve-wracking part, I think, not knowing that question. But just have your works organized and be confident with your own knowledge, know how to access your information. Trying to think of what else for sure. The article critique, you'll get a lot of cues that's going to be on there, so you'll know. You'll have all that organized, but it's the other one that's kind of like
that's more
mystery, big question mark. But if you're organized and you've done well in the program up to this point, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, so typically be thinking about, because we try to mainly focus on the core classes in the program. So both the master's core, 521, 541, 621, 561, and then 711 and 690 really. So anything that you've done in any of those classes that you want to bring with you, that might be useful. Any of the, as I say, deliverables that you've already developed, that might be useful to bring. And you're given this amount of time to just organize it and just bring it. From what I've heard, which is totally not surprising at all, really the most nerve-wracking part of the exam is that it's time. You have 3.5 hours for each question.
How long did it take you? 3.5 hours. I used every minute.
Good for you. Okay.
Yeah.
I think on one of the questions I got done in 2.5, and I was like, "Oh, I made it!" And then I sat there and I'm like, "Oh, I have another hour." So then I just kind of went through everything.
Yeah. And so basically the process is that everybody comes here, shows up at 7:45, and we meet in Vicky's office. And then I take each of you to your own room and let you sweat for and then once everybody's settled, everybody signs a I'm not going to cheat form. Say I'm not going to cheat. And then I give everybody the question, and then I just hang out. And then at 11:30, everybody, by 11:30, you all have to email them to me. I'll print them out to make sure that if any disaster occurs, that we have a hard copy of your responses. Then everybody has lunch, and then can relax from 11:30 to 1. And then at 1 o'clock, we do the same thing. I give you the second question. You have until 4:30 to complete it. Email it to me. I print them out, make sure that we got them, and then you can go home until the next day. Go have a beer. Go to Lenny's, or somewhere like that. But yes.
So when it's time to take the qualifying exam, or do I have to contact Vicki or will I contact you?
Mm-hmm. So I should ask this because last session someone said no. Is everybody getting all the emails that I'm sending to EdD students? Like at the beginning of every semester, you should get an email that says, if you're planning to take the qualifying exam, email me. So if you're not, then let me know. And make sure, because we're sending it to your IU email, because that's your official email as part of the program. So if you're not, then let Vicki know so you can make sure that you're on that list.
Okay.
So what I do is, at the beginning of every semester, I'll send out a message to all EdD students and say, if you're planning to, here's the date of the qualifying exam. If you're planning to take it, please let me know. And then I capture all of that information, make a list, and then I usually will say, I send another email to everybody saying, here's the people that have said that they're taking the qualifying exam. Did I miss anybody? And usually I get a student said, yeah, you missed me. I said, dang it, how did I miss you? But that way, then I know everyone. And so that's how we make sure that everybody knows when it's going to be and lets me know that they're going to take it.
But I get emails from Vicki on behalf of you. Or
Right.
Those
are the ones, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how to send this stuff out to everybody. Are you kidding? I'm a professor. I don't know anything. This is what I do. Vicki, can you send this out to everybody? That's what I do. Yes. Okay, good. Then you're getting it. Right.
Okay. And then, so I let you know when I have completed all of my coursework.
Yeah.
All of it. That's when I'm ready.
Right. When you're, I mean, technically, you can take the qualifying exam whenever you want.
Okay.
But practically and advisingly, you probably want to take it during your last semester of coursework.
Okay.
And I'll come to that in a minute. But what we're doing, and we've been modifying our 795 over the past few years to try to make it so that our 795 also gives you an opportunity to do a little practice for the quals as well as work on your proposal. So this semester, Professor Bowling's teaching it, and she actually had students do she figured out how to have them do a timed exam in Canvas, which, like I said, I don't know how to do that. So I'm asking Professor Bowling, how did you do that? Really? She goes, oh, I asked the instructional consulting to do it for me. I don't know how to do it. But, and you did that, right? And you found it really useful?
I found it to be really useful.
Yeah.
And I did it exactly as it's going to be, like down to, I was at 7:45 sitting there.
Yeah.
And just mimic the entire session. And
Yeah.
you feel a lot better.
Yeah.
She gives you really good feedback.
Yeah, yeah. And so we're trying to, every semester every year, I should say, we take feedback and we try to make the program better. And one of the things that we noticed early was that we weren't really giving much opportunity to practice before the quals. And so that's why we started modifying 795 to do that.
And I definitely recommend reading 690 directly before that,
Yep.
because you do an article critique every single week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a really helpful practice.
Yeah. Okay. Other questions?
You have a rough idea of when the date will be for fall?
We will know by the end of next week, because we are having a faculty meeting a week from today, and Tom, the slave driver, is going to say, here's the dates. Everybody okay with them? And then we'll get them out. The other reason is, this, and I said this in the last session, that we have a giant building on campus, Valentine Hall, that has a zillion classrooms. And so, of course, they're going to close the whole thing and renovate it next year. which is probably good because I took classes in it and I went into it last semester and it looks exactly the same as it did in 1988. I'm like, did anything change here? You know, I don't see anything different, you know, but yeah, exactly. Yeah. But because of that, rooms, even conference rooms like this are going to be in short supply. So Vicky said, we need to get those dates down so I can reserve all the rooms. So that's why we'll know them real quick. And I'll send it out to all MDD students so they know. We'll also know the date of the IST conference for people who want to come back, because you can come to as many IST conferences as you want. Okay, other questions, Jevin?
I think this is for the student. How long did it take you guys to prepare for it? I'm trying to see if I should take the summer off before the fall, just to prepare for it.
Well, I'm a procrastinator, so I wouldn't ask me. I was taking 3 classes during the semester I took it.
I mean,
so, but it's kind of like the program is your preparation. It's
right.
really just being
I mean,
organized.
yeah, in terms of prepping, like I say, $7.95 will help.
Right.
Because we do that into the prepping in the first part of $7.95. And then just reviewing the things that you've done. I haven't heard of many students that have spent a ton of time, other than organizing stuff that they want to bring, spend a ton of time doing a lot of prep for the quals.
Because some of the prep, like you said, is now through like $7.95.
Yeah.
Or, you know, do a practice article critique. Or
Yeah. Yeah.
just,
Or other questions or something like that. Did you do 2 or just 1?
For the practice?
Yeah.
I did 1 article and 1 from the
Oh, so you did one of each. Okay, good. Yeah. And so yeah.
Selfish question real quick. Who all said they were taking quals in this coming fall? Here, that's the trees.
So 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better. What do we got? I think we got 7. 7 this at the end of this month?
Yeah.
The end of this month? We're kicking faculty out of their offices. Like, you can't be in there. Why don't you work from home that day? We need your office. Okay, day 2 of the quals, okay, is what's called your committee question. That one is developed in consultation with your advisory committee. And it's typically a question that that revolves around what you might be interested in for your dissertation topic. So it's typically a lit review, or look at the current goings on in this area of the field. Let's see, Pranka, what was your question that we gave you? It was the informal learning one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Informal learning.
Informal learning. So Pranka is interested in informal learning, particularly in the I don't know, corporate sector or whatever. Yes. And so we kind of worked on a question that Dr. Ozul and I worked on a question for that. Yeah. You work with your 2 IST advisors to come to that question. We give you the question, and then everybody gets the question on the same day. Everybody's given 1 month to complete the question. Then you email your response back to your 2 advisors. They review it, and then you develop a brief presentation of your question response that you will present on the second day of quals to your advisory committee, and then we ask questions about your response to that question. Day 2 of the quals is a little bit less stressful. It lasts an hour and a half, 90 minutes. Everybody's given a 90-minute block. And I can tell you, it was a pain trying to get everybody scheduled, all 7 of you scheduled this semester with faculty. I don't want to do that. I have to be here that early? Oh my God. Not students, faculty. I'm talking about the faculty. But we did. Typically, the results of your committee question are pass or revise. We have never had a fail. Now, I guess we could, like if you don't do it. But it's really more of an opportunity to give you a little jump start for your dissertation. But, and I'm telling you this now because I didn't know that some students thought this. Revise is not fail. So, like last year, we had students that that when they got done, the faculty said, okay, we'd like you to do this to improve this, and then send us a revision. And we had students go, oh my God, I just failed my committee question. And I'm like, what? What? Lots of times you'll be asked to revise things. Wait until your dissertation. You don't fail your dissertation when we ask you to revise it. I'll tell you that right now. But so if you're asked to revise it, then generally we give you a timeline. We say we'd like your revision in 2 weeks or whatever, a month. And then basically once you revise it, then it goes to pass. Okay. So any questions on day 2? Like I said, and once again, it's kind of a take-home part of it, so you can use whatever you want. Make sure you cite your sources, those kinds of things. But it really is, you have that amount of time in order to complete it.
Well, the topic should be related to what you're interested in your dissertation.
Correct. Yep. Yep. And that actually, basically, that's how we started. Like usually your advisory committee will say, okay, so give us some ideas about what you might be interested in as a topic. And then you kind of go back and forth in terms of what you want to do. And then at the end, your advisory committee gets together and says, okay, so let's take all this input. What would be a good question? We formulate a question that's based on that topic and then send it to you. Other questions on qualifying exam? Dr. Brush, how long does it take before we find out if we passed or not?
It's a good question. How long does it take?
Usually, well, definitely everyone knows before the end of the semester. Usually, I try to give faculty about 3 weeks to answer, to grade. I think I have a slide on that. Hold on.
As long as 3 weeks. If anyone's left.
Yes. Oh, I already said everything that's in this one.
Dr. Lee, do we have a rubric for the committee question? Or no?
Nope.
Okay.
Use all your knowledge. Remember you did the lit review in 7-11. Yay. Maybe do something like that. I know you got feedback. Did anybody not take 7-11 with me? Anybody take it with Dr. Leverage? Then remember the feedback that Dr. Brush gave you on your lit review. Follow APA guidelines. Ooh. Cite your sources. That kind of stuff. So, yeah. So that's really the kind of the format to think about. I've already said all this, okay? Actually, it's 3.5 hours for question 1 and 3.5 hours. So we give you a little more time to break. Presentation, we'll provide feedback. I already talked about the committee question. Actually, the response is sent back to us 1 week prior to the date of qualifying exam. We changed that. And then we've changed this to, this is why we did this. Because what I found out was that some students were getting 3 months to do their committee question and others were getting a month. Because some faculty were like, oh, it's the beginning of the semester, here. So then we got together and we grumbled at each other. And I said, and this is last semester, I said, do you just want me to give everybody a date and say, everybody send it on this date? And faculty go, oh my God, Tom, that'd be great. If you could handle all that and just give us a date, then we can follow that direction. So that's why everybody gets it now on the same date. So everybody has the exact same amount of time to do their committee question. Funny little things that happen in faculty. You can never, it's like herding cats, let's be honest. You can't get faculty to do everything. Sheesh. Anyway. Okay, any other questions on the qualifying exam? Here's the grading criteria. Here's the way it's graded. Okay. Questions 1 and 2 are a blind review by 2 IST faculty members who are not your advisory committee. Once again, Tom has to coordinate all that. So he picks 2 faculty members, and I try to make it so that everybody does the same number so that nobody's getting overwhelmed and they get grumpy by the last one and just say, fail, 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 or anything like that. Okay. Basically what they do, the faculty members, basically I say you need to provide a grade of pass or fail, not close or maybe or you decide, Tom, you know, anything. It's got to be pass or fail. If they both say pass, you pass. If they both say fail, you fail. If one says pass and one says fail, then I bring them together, have them discuss all that kind of stuff. All that, and then we decide. If you pass both questions, then you pass the departmental quals. If you fail both questions, then you fail departmental quals. If you pass one question and fail one question, then what we do is, for the second question, I give you the feedback from the faculty as to why you didn't pass that question, and you're given 2 weeks to revise it, resubmit it. I give it back to the graders, and if they consider that you've addressed their concerns, then you pass. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes. The committee question, as I said, advisory committee members review and provide feedback during day 2. Basically, you revise the response until the advisory committee says it's good. So once again, it's pass or let's do a little more work and then pass. Okay. There was one more thing I was going to say about the quals. Oh, and I know that none of you are going to, let me start by saying none of you are going to have to worry about this. If someone happened to fail quals, okay, the way it works is that you're given 2 opportunities to pass quals. If you, God forbid, fail quals in this format, then you're given another opportunity as a take-home exam. You can do it the next semester, the next year, whenever. You don't have to come back here to do it. The way it works is that you say, I want to retake my quals this semester. Okay, you say, okay. Then the day of the quals at 8 a.m., when everybody else is starting, I email the 2 questions to you, and you're given until Sunday at midnight to give me the responses back. So that's to give you a little bit, if God forbid this didn't work out for you, we don't want you to fail quals. This is what I'm trying to say. We want to give you every opportunity possible to be successful. If you fail twice, which has never happened, then basically we have to work with you on other options. So, but I haven't had to do that, so let's not talk about that. You know, other options, you know, let's get Tom. Let's get him. You know? Okay, any other questions on quals? So we did the first topic in 45 minutes. Yeah.
Is there any ability to get a copy of this for later?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. I think I put them up on the website, but I'll check. Did I? Okay. Okay. But I try to update it every year, so I'll make sure the latest one's right. Okay. Okay, beyond that, you passed quals. Everybody's happy. Yay! Okay. You're admitted to candidacy. Okay, once you have passed all portions of the qualifying exam, completing all coursework, so here's a caveat of that is that you can be admitted to candidacy and not have completed R795. That's the only course you don't have to have completed. But most of the time you've done it anyway. Because like I say, we recommend, as I say in the second to last bullet, we recommend that you do 795 the same semester as you're doing qual. And we recommend, unlike Amy, that you only take that class when you're doing quals. Just saying, Amy's our outlier. Not in a bad way. I didn't mean that as bad. Okay, then you're admitted to candidacy. You complete a nomination to candidacy form, okay? Your advisor committee signs it and submits it to the graduate studies office. Graduate studies office reviews it. When they approve it, you're admitted to candidacy. That means a couple things. One, that means that your coursework is frozen in time forever, as I said. So you never have to worry about revalidating classes or anything like that. It's gone, okay? It means that your advisory committee has fulfilled their responsibilities and they are you no longer have an advisory committee. It's gone, okay?
Then you're done.
Okay. That means that it also means, God forbid, that your clock restarts, which means, God forbid, that you have 7 more years to finish your dissertation. God forbid. And I know this because, and I know students can finish a dissertation in a year. You know how? Because they do nothing for 6 years and then they get their dissertation done. So when that happens, that means the last bullet, that you have to reform what's called a research committee. A research committee is surprisingly made up of 3 faculty members, generally 2 IST faculty and 1 member from your minor. Yeah. So if you want, and you didn't make your committee mad at you, or you don't like your committee, you can ask the same committee to be your advisory committee and your research committee. To the point, in fact, of we're now meeting, because we have more EdD programs in the school, that we're actually thinking of just saying, disbanding the whole 2 committees and just saying, here's your advisory committee, and that'll take you through your whole program, including dissertation, unless you want to change it. If you don't want to change it, it just stays. If you do want to change it, you can. But we haven't gotten that far yet because, you know, in the School of Ed, it takes 5 years to change anything. So we haven't quite gotten that far. So right now, it's still the same thing. Okay, question.
Nomination to candidacy, got through the quals, pass, did the nomination to candidacy form.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of skipped to the next step of 799. I have my committee.
Mm-hmm.
But how do I know? Because I never got anything saying, here is your nomination to candidacy. And I think talking to Dr. O, that's where she's like, well, maybe it's because you never did this.
What's this?
This residency requirement, being here.
Oh, correct. You have to
so
do
then
that.
I'll get it after this.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And
yep.
this, because this is the semester after my 7 years expired, isn't gonna interfere with any of that.
That's a good question.
That's why I asked about the revalidation question. It was, yeah, because I did the quals the day because I needed to get it in. That's why I rushed. That's why I was doing everything. But I hadn't had this piece done, which is the residency requirement. So that's the question for me. And we can talk.
No, I think, because this is not a unique situation. I think, and I will double check, that your officially your classes are frozen in time once you pass the qualifying. Mm-hmm. Even if you haven't completed everything, I think that your mm-hmm. classes are frozen mm-hmm. at qual state, mm-hmm. not necessarily. Mm-hmm. So if you have this one little thing you need to do, that doesn't impact that. Mm-hmm. So I think you're good.
Okay.
Yes.
I think so too.
I'll check.
Let's check.
I'll ask. I know.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, once you're past quals, I'm pretty sure I know this because we had a student we had to work with this past just a few weeks ago mm-hmm. that we went and talked to grad studies and had a little powwow, and they reminded us that. That's how I know this because it's fresh.
Okay.
Yep.
Because you should get like a form. Don't you get an actual form or not? The nomination, the candidacy? No, you don't get anything.
I don't know.
So it's like.
You'll get some, I mean, I was going to say you can go into the student view of GEMS and look at your milestones, and it'll tell you the nomination to candidacy date, and it'll put that on there.
Okay, maybe you can.
I can check.
Look at that.
I'll check. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Dr. Brush,
yes.
We have a question from the online.
Yes.
So he says, for the research committee, how are we handling adult ed minor committee members? Can you repeat that?
Yeah. Basically it can be a minor committee member in adult ed. You'd have to have one. It can be either Dr. Treff or Dr. Pickard. It can also be Dr. D. Silvestro if he agrees, because he's emeritus faculty. He can be on the committee, but he can't chair a committee. But he's retired, so he may say, bleh. But he probably wouldn't. He's so nice, he probably wouldn't. Yeah, but did that answer the question?
Yep, we got it.
Okay, yep. Other questions on any of this?
My minor is higher ed and student affairs, and so my person is a clinical.
That's okay.
And so is she allowed to be
Mhm.
on the committee for
Yeah.
research too?
Dr. Treff's a clinical in adult ed. Dr. Irwin in ed leadership is a clinical. Who do you have, Dr. Diswala?
Yes. Yeah, thank you. I can't remember his name.
See, are you amazed? I can't remember my kids' names, but I remember all this stuff. Yeah, so, and absolutely fine. Because they've all been approved. I'll have to go through a process, but they've all been approved to serve on dissertation committees.
Okay.
I don't think she can chair one, but she can definitely serve on one. Yep, so that's fine.
So the research committee is 3 members in total or 2 members in total?
3 members in total, yep. Now, if, for example, if say your minor person is like, I don't want to be on your committee or something like that, you can request a waiver of the requirement for a minor member to be on your dissertation committee and then choose someone else. The way you do that is you have to formally send an email to the department chair of wherever the minor is and ask them. And they'll ask, and if they say, yep, it's fine, then that means that you can ask somebody else. But typically it's good to have a minor member. Yes.
So at the end of the qualifying exam, your advisory committee expands.
Yep.
Then you have, so it could be completely 2 different set of people?
Could be. It can be completely different if you want. Or it can be exactly the same.
Unless he changes it next year.
In the next year, and I'll let everybody know that, if that's the case. And even then, it still can be, I mean, if it's the same, if we change it to it can just be one committee, that doesn't mean that you can't change members.
It's just one less step.
It just, yeah, it'd just be, you fill out a form and say, I'd like to substitute this person, just like a course. I'd like to substitute this person with this person, like that. Okay. Other questions on that? And like I said, if you think, wow, this is pretty complicated, the answer is yeah. It's like, I don't know why. It's like we gotta, and this is why I do this, because when we first started, Tom, you know what happens when you assume, right? Tom made all the assumptions. We got to our first EDD students, they're like, what? What do you mean I have to do a proposal? That we'll come to that in a minute. Okay. Human subjects in IRB. I'm assuming that everyone that took R690 completed the little tutorial to get CITI certified. Takes 5 years, or last 5 years. Last 5 years, and then once you expire, the university will let you know, and you got to do another little quiz in order to redo it. But you have to be CITI certified in order to be eligible to be on a human subjects form. You need to, if you're going to do a study that involves people, then you have to have IRB human subjects approval prior to having your dissertation proposal accepted. Okay. None of you can be the PI or principal investigator on any study at IU. Your faculty advisor chair has to be that. But you fill out the IRB form. And basically it's all online now. You go into one.iu.edu, you do a little search for IRB or whatever, and it gives you the link, and it's basically an electronic form that you fill out, okay? It's not meant to be this barrier to you completing it. The people at IRB are super helpful. So you fill it out, you can ask your advisor questions. If there's something, you did something wrong, they don't say, you did this wrong, rejection, never come back, blah. They'll say, okay, we need more clarification here, or you need to provide more information here. You know, I just got it done, I just did it, worked with Christina Parker, who's one of my EDD advisees. And she was freaking out. She's like, I don't know, how do I do an IRB? I don't remember it. I don't remember how to do it. I took 690 2 years ago, blah, blah, blah. And I said, Christina, just go up, fill out the form, answer the questions. I said, if you did something wrong, you'll get an email usually from Mr. Mills, who tends to be our education guy, telling you what you did wrong and how to fix it. So 2 weeks later, she's like, I did it. And so it really isn't that bad. And they're really fast in terms of responding. It's amazing. I mean, I can tell you horror stories when I started, when it was all on paper, and it would take 3 months to get approved. Now it's like a week, you know, but you have to do that in order to have your proposal accepted.
And those of us who work for institutions of higher ed also have to have institutions IRB approval.
That is consult with your institution, because they may be okay with, are you getting it through IU, then we're fine. Or they may be like, no, you must get it through us too. And then you can also talk to IU, because sometimes they'll have reciprocity. So if you get it through yours, IU may say okay. But it's I say that because it's different. Like his name blanks because I'm getting old. But I had a student last semester that did it with his institution in Kentucky, and he didn't have to do it with his. They just said, yeah, IU's fine. You don't need to. Okay?
Okay. So I know we talked about this recently, and so somehow it fell out of my head. We can do the IRB at any time of the class qualifying.
You can do the IRB at any time. It's optimal to do it as close to doing your dissertation as possible so that you don't have to do as many amendments. Well, it's not that, but okay, so you say you do an IRB now, you get it approved, you do your proposal meeting, your committee says, change this, change that, add this data, get rid of this data. That means you have to do an amendment to your IRB because you're not doing the same study that you got IRB approval for. You see what I mean? I mean, it's not, once again, it's not something that's difficult. It's just another hoop that you have to go through because you have to redo your IRB a little bit to get it approved again because the study may be a little different. Okay? And typically, that last bullet there, complete your dissertation proposal, similar to your qualifying committee question, typically the results of your dissertation proposal meeting are, we want you to revise this. And then like we may say, I just did a proposal meeting once again with Christina Parker, and she was going to collect different types of data. And after we met, the committee said, we don't, oh crap, said, we don't think you need this data, but we want you to do this data. So she had to go and do an amendment to our IRB. Okay. Last couple things, as I know we're out of time. The dissertation, the big important thing here is that you have to develop a dissertation proposal and have that approved before you begin your study. So you complete a dissertation proposal, which 795 helps you do that. You do a meeting with your advisory committee. You don't have to do that face to face. We can do it via Zoom or whatever. And then once it's approved, then you do your study. There's another form to fill out and sign, and then you move into the study itself.
So just to set some milestones there, we have required 2 semesters of 799. Should we be thinking in terms of having the dissertation proposal and approved during the first semester? Or does it vary too much?
It varies. I mean, so that's a good question, which leads to the, oh, well, I guess I didn't.
Dr. Brush, just one technical issue. I think we're going to have a Zoom clash with 2261 for the faculty panel.
Oh, that's okay.
So
I can stop share.
You'll have to stop the Zoom sharing.
That's fine.
Disconnect from Zoom.
Okay.
But you can still keep presenting.
Okay.
Okay.